So here's the arcade cabinet I've been working on as a for the last couple of years as a gift to my friend Amanda. This is pretty close to done from a hardware perspective. This is the one where the LCD died last night. Anyway, some recent things I've done to it. I put in this board here in the same slot the LCD goes into to cover the wires from the LCD that's coming down. And, you know, the idea is to put a nice little backsplash of, like, instructions in there, or maybe nice art. Or maybe just leave that blank so Amanda can go nuts with it. She's an artist, after all. Turned around. We've got... There we go. A new backsplash, new back cover I made. The original idea was to make it so it's a door, but I decided, you know what, this is actually pretty nice in and of itself, just like sort of done in there. Holes for the speakers and the speaker mounting holes. There's two speakers, but it's in mono. Nice little power cord, power plug in here. It used to be so that there was this bit of plywood that was attached to the back, and then actually I can just kind of show you. So this was the old backsplash here. Yeah, this is the old backsplash. Had a whole bunch of holes and shit mounted in it, so I could try to run a power cable through, but it never really worked out. So what it did was there was a little Molex connector hanging out of here, and then this would stick onto the back like this, and then this is where the power box. This is where the power supply was. It's a power supply from an old CD-DVD, from an old DVD duplicator. This is where where the power connector would be, and then there was a switch in here. There is no switch operating it out. As soon as it's plugged in, it turns on, but there you go. But now, there is no power box in there. And the reason there isn't is because, let me take off our nice little volume knob. The reason there isn't is that now it's all nice and tidy inside the cabinet. So let me just go and... There we go, put you in here. Yeah, there we go. In my pocket. Oop, wrong way. Okay, there's one. And then there is two. Aha. Alright, so back panel is nice and removed. There we go. And there we are. I did most of this last night. I was having I did most of this work last night. I mean, a lot of the stuff was already installed, but I did a lot of work. Let me walk you through what I did in the past couple of days. First off, I made this backsplash, made the front thing. The front thing I only made last night. Got this in here. Made this cable. Took it from an old computer power supply that wasn't working anymore, and I re-sleeved it and got it all nice in here. The nice little power distribution bar, because this thing actually has two power... Let me put this somewhere I can lean. There we go. This thing actually has two power supplies in it. It's got this this big one in the back, which is the main power supply, which powers the Raspberry Pi 3, the LCD driver, the light in the front, which I will show you, and this runs off a USB here, this USB joystick thing, which is how all the buttons and the joystick stuff map in. This, and then in addition, this is AC power going in, so really this could be any configuration as long as, you know, it didn't short across. So power goes to the big power supply in here, distribution, AC comes in, power distribution box, then another set of wires, these thinner sets of wires, goes into this little power distribution box, which used to be a 12-volt power brick, and that's here to give isolated power to the audio amplifier. When I was plugging into the same circuit as the main power distribution power supply in here, there was just way too much noise, so I gave it its own power supply. And this is what powers the two Yamaha PC speakers in here. They're wired in mono, in a nice mono configuration. Redid a bunch of the wiring, Everything was working. This little bundle of cables goes up here. Everything was working until I cut the wire tie, shortened the length of the cable, because I wanted to lift up the LCD panel and move it around and stuff. Everything was working, and actually everything is still working, except for the LCD. And I'm reasonably sure something happened to the panel, because... There we go. So this is on. Everything is turning on in here, and actually if I, have the, plug in this ribbon cable into here, we can actually see that the monitor, the LCD driver is on. I'm not going to do that, that's a bit fiddly. So you can kind of hear the hiss of the speakers. And, more importantly, I think, bring this around, you can see the light on the coin slot is on. That is the power light. Raspberry Pi is still turning on. Although it really should be on right about now, so let's... The volume's up, so we should be able to hear the joysticks move. Okay, let's try... There we go. You can hear there's no hiss, because the game is starting up. And what game, you might ask? It's Aladdin for the Sega Genesis. And then it all buttons all up nicely. So now I just gotta figure out what the hell I'm gonna do about that LCD. The only thing to do is to replace it, I suppose, but... Good God, would I rather not spend $70 right now. Well, it's been 2 years. I'm sure I can squirrel away money over time. Alright.